Okay, this is another really weird follow-up on the last one. But I actually wanted to bring a new discussion to the table that not a lot of people might consider. You know what I mean? Everyone's kind of like shitting on religion for like let's say like practical reasons. Everyone wants to be like very analytically in tune with things, and I think that is actually something of a bigger scale. You know what I mean? Like there's bigger implications than just all like the practicality of religion. Um, but let's put it this way. From the last video, just quick highlight. I was talking about like the post-internet age and like objectivism, you know what I mean, versus a kind of like vibe-oriented shift where like a lot of people are like me, where we just kind of like chill out and we vibe, and it's just like it's all what we feel in our stomachs and our chests, and like a lot of people don't like that shit. I respect you guys for saying that. You don't like that. It's not like a very what's it called, you know? It's not practical. It's not this, it's not that, you know? Anyway. So let's go back a little bit. I don't even think that's the right word I'm meaning. But let's go back to this whole like discussion of like objectivism versus kind of like this vibe oriented, like kind of like what I feel cultish kind of like deconstruction. You know, this personal deconstruction straight from the heart. I think that like the problem with religion in a contemporary society, as well as like the opposite, you know, it's just all like it doesn't really come well with the kind of like atmosphere we're living in. I don't think that religion really works in a contemporary society, nor anti-religion. People just being focused on one fucking thing. You know what I mean? It's just all like a little more important. Being focused and like all that shit. Anyway, it's just all like this is a really hard thing to bring together without a script. But like, to be real, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't really make any sense. Okay, here we go. Oh, like, kind of just feeling shit out. I feel burnt out because, like, I know, too, that, like, I'm not really useful, but religion, the reason it just doesn't do well is because it's too cultish. Back in the day, it might have meant something a little more personal, introspective effort to bring one align with the atmosphere of the world, but in an objective, like, hyper... I think... How about this? Because I don't want to, like, deconstruct religion as a concept. I don't want to deconstruct, like, this kind of esoteric framework, because I don't think that it's easy to deconstruct. Internally, I'm just all like, if there's esoteric forces at play, they don't want to show their face in a digital landscape. They don't want to show themselves on this landscape. This is a whole new landscape created for humans, by humans, and it's very schizophrenic, but it has a very objective direction in mind. You know, AI and all this shit, everything's so objective and, like, leaning towards this kind of, like, hyper stimulation. I don't know, it's just all, like... On top of me just being really critical on postmodernity, I think postmodernity predicted a lot of this. But I think that the reason that the internet and all this shit exists, it's just like, it's not to really prove any truths on, like, this spiritual scale or whatever. And I think that just all, like, our fixation with becoming more and more indebted to technology separates us from a core part of our own humanity. And that can also bring us away from maybe other objective truths. Because I think that, like, it's really fucking hard to say. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here talking, and it's like, it's not a conversation you can have on the internet. It just all like, it just sounds like fucking just word vomit, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know how to say it. I don't think you can really put it into words, you know? It's just like, I could write out an essay and it still would sound like this. Because you have to also like bring this level of like reassurance to people, like this isn't schizophrenic, just ramblings, and I don't know, it's fucking whatever. Again, it's just all like the concepts I really want to bring to the table, I feel like would need like a book to fucking explain. And like, then again, it's just like, I don't want to fucking write a book because I think it's so useless and pointless to write a book. Imagine writing a deconstruction of theism and esotericism, and like how that doesn't correlate with the digital landscape because of like this search for objective truth, when the esoteric, the hidden, and you know, I'd even say like the paranormal, that shit doesn't exist here. You know what I mean? I'm a firm believer of that sort of thing. Because, like, I've experienced it. You know what I mean? I've been there. But it's not something that you can necessarily capture and reflect on the internet. And people who do it are very disingenuous. So it really makes the whole, like, atmosphere look, you know, whatever. And, like, everyone just refuses to suspend their disbelief. And it's just all, like, everyone's so hypercritical and on the defensive because you can lie so easily on, you know, the internet. And it just kind of sucks because it's just all like, you want to have this conversation and you want to like bring together this, or bring forth this kind of like deconstruction, but it's really impossible to bring forth this deconstruction. Sorry, I'm playing Stalker right now. But I just hear like these critiques on spirituality and religion, and I don't think they're critiques on spirituality or religion. I think they're critiques on the landscape of the internet, and people just aren't ready to have that conversation. You know, this is like crazy to even like have this discussion, but it's just all like, I think that's really the point that I wanted to bring forward. Because it's just all like, there's just so many points of like where you can approach this from, but like very few people do. And it's just like the people who do don't really bring forward a sort of all like rationale that's core, like that overlaps the sensibilities of the whatever. It's just all like, back in the day you had like chaos magic and like all these weird divination practices. And, like, maybe they worked on their own level, but, like, bringing those forward and trying to reflect them on this kind of, like, landscape where everything's just going into this weird amalgamation of everything. I think everything's slowly merging into itself, and everything is just, like, one thing. Does that make sense? That like everything in just this contemporary era is slowly moving to this like ball of like mass. Like it's so fucking weird. Like everything looks the same, everything sounds the same, everything kind of all like comes to the same conclusions, and it's just all like I feel like we're really truly fucked if we continue going on this path of like growth for the sake of growth. It really like leaves no, you know, room for the imagination or the individual. Everything's becoming this collective entity, this collective hive mind, and it's kind of rejecting the core fundamentals of like what it means to exist as a human. Does that make sense? I feel like if you've watched this to this point, I really like appreciate it, because this was a really rough start, like coming up with like the start of this video was like terrible. I'll be real with you, but like just slowly creeping into this kind of like vibe-oriented shift. It's just all like, let's just, we can't bring this into an objective framework. We can't bring this into an objective, like, analytical light, because, like, I have a feeling that there's a need for, like, off the kind of beaten path kind of like analysis. I've been doing this like my entire like creative career, where I don't like to bring forward this kind of like reflection or affirmation of like the current kind of like perspective. Like, growing up, I didn't want to have the best everything that's just like so current and everyone's kind of like in your ear telling you the same thing. It's just like, this is how you should operate. Like, this is definitely like a really hard thing to discuss and like try to put into that kind of like framework. I don't think that necessarily writing a script and filming this with the best camera and being in your face, and I don't know, it's just all like, it's crazy. Everything's just like turning into one thing, and like even the people in power are like losing the fucking plot, because it's just all like, we all kind of get burnt out more easy. You ever notice that? Everything's so easy to burn out because everything's so analytical, and like everything has to be so perfect. And like I never got it from you guys. Like, everyone can like focus in on like the sounds in a video, and they can pinpoint your fucking location, or they can look at the tree line and realize where you are, and it's just all like, it's so fucking insane. I don't think humans were ever supposed to operate on this level, and like just being handed so many resources, and like we have so many comforts, and we can just get along with anything, and then we essentially replace the role of God. You know what I mean? And it's just all like, I have this feeling in my heart that like God exists. It's just all like, there's no higher power that would ever want to like correlate themselves with this kind of all like delusion that the humans like collective is like going towards. It's just all like, why does God refuse to show themselves? Like, because like we're in a position where it's just all like, it wouldn't fucking make sense. It wouldn't. I don't necessarily think we're alone, you know? Like, I really hate to break it to you guys. Like, I know everyone might think that like I have like this kind of atheistic kind of perspective, but I'm not atheistic. I mean, like, I feel like I'm more aligned with the spiritual realm than like a lot of people, and like I've had these conversations with people, and it's just all like, why would you believe it? Well, if you've seen it, you'd believe it too, you know what I mean? So it's just all like, there's something weird in this fucking world, I'll be real with you. But I think that just all like in the digital landscape, the direction we're going as a civilization, the way we carry ourselves in a civilization, you know, it's just all like, we kind of reject the core principles of our spirituality. And it's just all like, we kind of just all like, we're disingenuous on that level. Isn't this a weird conversation to be had? It's just all like, the implications of the digital age and like spirituality, they don't correlate. They really don't. Like, and I don't want people to think like this is like a conservative framework either, because I just don't think conservatism necessarily reflects the values either. It seems like every ideology is bitten in the ass by the direction of a contemporary civilization, where we have all of this like energy and effort into like this analytical framework where everything has to be fucking perfect. It's just like, guys are kind of forgetting the people who made the culture that you exist within today, and you kind of just, you know, reject it and kind of hyper stylize it and make it look like whatever. It's just like, I don't like contemporary culture because everything's so like put through this filter. And like, it's so hard to explain the filter. You guys ever watch like Marvel movies? Like, those things fucking suck. You know what I mean? Like, and like Redditors, it's just all like all this culture. It's just like an amalgamation of just all like stupidity and like through the framework. Everyone wants to be analytical, but it's just like no one wants to like just admit the fact that we're not analytical. You know what I mean? Like there might be some people out there with like these big brains and all that shit. Like they can really get things done. Me, I'm not pretending to be that. I'm not pretending to be an analytical force. I think that it's just really important to analyze where we come from, and like who we are as individuals. Because too many people are lying to themselves, pretending to be something that they're not. They're not special. I'm not special. You know what I mean? I would just hope that some of my perspective is like useful on some kind of level. You know what I mean? It's difficult. It really is. I'm sorry.